Here's Trisha Reyes and I'm 21 years old. I stayed in a hostel till I was 20 years old, but sometimes it was quite lonely as well, because you were just by yourself and there was no family unit around you, and it was a bit, I don't know, it was a bit sad sometimes. Also to think that there were so many children that didn't have any families either. Well, my experience was that it was quite lonely. It was also, you had to sort of learn quickly to look after yourself, sort of money management, paying for your rent, for example. I also, while I was there, got into a relationship because I wouldn't have a family unit around me, so I sort of was with my boyfriend most of the time, who eventually became violent, so I was there for a long time in a violent relationship in a hostel environment. If I could, I wouldn't have to recommend it to anyone because it's just a sort of a struggle experience. But at the same time, I was supported in the end and I was eventually given somewhere to live, although it did take a few years. After the hostel in Elephant and Castle, I was moved into another place, a supported house, not a hostel anymore, it's a supported house, until they thought that I was adequate enough to live on my own, and then I was given a flat. So I was about 20, almost 21 when I was given that. And bearing in mind I was 17 when I was first given the place. Well, initially I went to the council and they said they couldn't do anything for me because I wasn't vulnerable enough. So then I went to Connections and I asked them if they could do anything, and they made a referral for me and they gave it to like loads of different charities, and then a charity called Alone in London got back to me and they asked me to come to an interview at King's Cross, and it was sort of like an abandoned building that they made into offices, and there was like loads of homeless people there, and they just make a referral of you again and they sent it out to different agencies. Eventually someone got back to me, that was Hillingdon, but after the interview they didn't contact me again. And then somewhere called Look Ahead Housing in Elephant and Castle called me, and I went to an interview there, and then I got given a place. Came to a point where it was too much for the hostel staff to handle because he smashed all my windows, and they thought that it would be bad for the people that I live with and it would be unsafe for me to stay there. So they then moved me into a supported house out of the area, which is like far away, another borough in London, and I stayed there for a while, but eventually he found me and he started to climb in the house and stuff like that, and they just thought that I was a risk to the people that I lived with. So then my move-on process was made a lot faster and I became a priority on the housing list, and then I was eventually given a flat, but I had to be put in a place that was high up so no one could climb in, and as well as sort of isolated, so the road that I was on had to be quite quiet, and it wouldn't be allowed to be on an estate where there would be sort of gangs or anything like that, so that I would always be safe.